Well, welcome to the Farm Finance Show. Today I'm going to be talking about fertilizer prices and trying to predict where the anhydrous price is going to be headed in this coming year. I'll show you a model that I have developed that actually can help farmers do that. Well, as most farmers realize, at one time, anhydrous price, as recently as probably about a year and a half ago, were about $500 per ton. Starting in the second half of 2021, the anhydrous price just went through the roof. And in fact, by the time we got to spring planting in 2022, the anhydrous price was well over $1,500 per ton. And farmers may be wondering, well, what happened to the fertilizer price? Our fertilizer price is going to go down anytime soon. And when is the best time for me to buy fertilizer? I'm going to show you all a model that I have developed that can be used to help predict the anhydrous fertilizer price based on three factors. I've been trying to predict fertilizer prices for a number of years, and I originally started out looking at the natural gas price as a key component to my model because anhydrous basically starts from natural gas. Well, it turns out I could never get a model that really worked too well. So at one point in time, I switched over to using the oil price. And that worked out much better for predicting because oil is a substitute for natural gas, and it actually made my model work pretty well. So for a number of years, I had a model that was based on the oil price and the corn price, one representing the supply and one representing the demand for fertilizer. And that model worked really well until the second half of 2021 when fertilizer prices started streaming up really high. And then I decided, well, my model is not predicting this. What am I leaving out? So I went back and actually added another factor to my model. I have now added inflation expectation to my model. And by doing that, I again have a model that actually works pretty well as far as predicting what the anhydrous price might be. So here's what I'm trying to predict. I'm trying to predict this price trend of what fertilizer for anhydrous has been over time. What I want to have is factors that kind of correlate with the anhydrous price, but but where the factors themselves aren't correlated themselves. So I think I may have found this, so there's probably a little bit more correlation among my factors that I would like, but it does actually work pretty well now by throwing in the inflation in there. So here's my three factors that I have in my model. I have the corn price, which kind of represents the demand for anhydrous because as corn prices go up, farmers will tend to plant more corn, which is going to increase the demand for fertilizer, nitrogen fertilizers. We have the oil price, which represents something about the supply because whenever the oil price goes up, there's probably less likelihood that manufacturers are going to want to put oil or natural gas into fertilizer production. And if it goes the other way around, it could switch things. And then inflation is just some idea of representing exactly how much prices are actually increasing. So these are my three main factors. And by doing this, I actually have a model now that actually works pretty well for predicting what anhydrous price is going to be. Here's my current model, what you can see here. So I start off trying to predict anhydrous price per ton. I have a constant of a negative 140, and then I take 64.1 times the current corn price in bushel. That means whenever the corn price goes up by a dime, my fertilizer price for anhydrous goes up by $6. I have an oil price which is actually lagged 6 months. My thinking there was that it takes a little bit before what happens in the oil market to actually show up on the anhydrous side. So I'm looking at oil prices lagged by 6 months and the price per barrel there. And then I have inflation expectations. This is really a forward-looking idea of what I think inflation is going to happen in the future because that's then going to drive what's happening on the anhydrous price. So these are my three main factors. And as you can see now, I actually have a model that actually works pretty well. I'm able to predict things, not perfectly, but it was certainly doing a lot better than what my last model was. And you can see where I am. I'm in this green line right here, my predictions for the rest of this year and going into 2023. The red dotted line is actually what has happened to the actual anhydrous price. So you can see I'm a little bit higher than what the current price is. But I think the important thing here is the trend that I'm seeing. I'm not seeing much of a decrease in all in the coming year for anhydrous prices, but that's because I think the oil price, the corn price, and the inflation expectations are going to remain pretty high relative to what they have been, at least for the coming year or so. So there may be a slight softening of the anhydrous price, but I think farmers can really expect to see anhydrous prices for this coming spring probably in the $1,200 to $1,500 range. I don't really see any big factors actually dropping that off. So it's not really a discouraging picture for farmers who are really going to have to bite the bullet and probably pay pretty high prices to plant corn in this coming year. So if you like what you have seen so far, I encourage you to follow me. You can reach me on Twitter at either Ivandal. I also have a new account with Ag Financing where I'm going to just limit my Twittering just to ag finance issues. You can also subscribe to my Farm Finance Show on YouTube. And here's my handle for that, as well as the address to follow me there. So I encourage you all to see what I have coming up. I will try to post regular updates to my Farm Finance Show. Again, thanks for watching.